So, Patricia, we're off on a special mission.
Yes, and we're going to be looking more into the character of Doug from Up.
So Doug was a Nicktoon. No, no. Doug is the dog character out of the film Up, and so many people say that only the first 12 minutes was good. But to be fair, I did actually like most of the other more entertaining elements that were also added in the later part of the movie, and one of them was actually the idea that the antagonist of the movie would just go completely insane and like train a bunch of like talking dogs to go try and find this bird. So
Yeah, we had our issues with Up. Go listen to the Up podcast so we can, have a better idea of what we thought about the story as a whole. But going into the parts with Doug. So yeah, I mean, he was pretty entertaining. I remember a lot of people, chanting "squirrel" every chance that they got. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could understand the argument from some people saying that he was annoying and he kind of like was just one of those characters that was kind of grating for a while, which of course is to be understandable if you do feel that way personally. So, yeah, very similar to Bernie and Jack Jack Attack. This is focusing on the adventures of Doug when they are trying to capture Kevin, and this is taking place right before they, Doug meets up with Carl Frederickson and Russell.
So the idea is that Doug is tagging along with his other dog, troop, and but unfortunately he keeps screwing up every time the bird comes into close quarters. So they end up trying to distract Doug as much as they can. So they get him watching a rock, which obviously falls down and chases them off the side of the mountain. They stick him into a hole, which he ends up falling further down with and landing on top of the guys. And so all these other shenanigans happened, and it ends with the point that the alpha ends up saying to the Carl Frederickson that he's been a really bad dog, and Dog runs away. And that also sets up for the fact that when he later basically comes towards the other dogs, they end up getting put in the cone of shame. So it kind of does like build up to the thing like, oh hey, how did it come to this point? So yeah, there was that. So in regards to this particular short, I mean, it's obviously just a 5 minute like kind of side thing of like saying what happened before. Obviously, we get to the his main part of the movie. So yeah, I just think it did a pretty good job of like setting up for when they get to that part of the film. So
Pretty good job. Did it do it better than Jack Jack Attack? No, but it did do it better than Bernie. Yes, I would argue with that because even though that Jack Jack Attack, it did tie itself into the story more. We get to see more of Syndrome and the babysitter, and it was able to tie the story really neatly. And so does the same thing with Doug as well, where we do get to see him interacting with the dogs, him trying to do a good job with capturing the bird, and him eventually meeting up with Mr. Frederickson and Russell. So all of that does tie together really nicely, and it does try to be very amusing with all the gags that are going on with, Doug trying to, watch over a rock. Rock falls down and it almost crushes the dogs. Doug is inside of a hole because it's the bird's favorite hole. The hole starts coming through and slides down, and then he's dumping dirt all over the team. And, there's a lot of gags going on, and it gets pretty humorous after a while. And then it ends on a sweet note with Doug eventually meeting up with Mr. Frederickson and Russell. But again, I think that the way that Jack Jack Attack was able to pull it together really through is that it makes a lot of sense of how that part of the story went through, as well as having a lot more humorous moments, a lot more shocking moments. And it actually ties itself really well into the story. And you kind of wonder about what happened between these two. I mean, sure, we would like to know about what happened before Doug met up with Mr. Frederickson and Russell, but that's not really crucial to the story. With Jack Jack Attack, it's like you hear the answering machines messages coming in from Elastigirl when she's listening in, and it's like, oh man, what happened to Jack Jack? I mean, what did that? I'd like to know more about that. And that is what people get invested in tuning into. With Doug and with, I guess, Bernie, I mean, sure, with Doug, it makes a little bit more sense to find out more of the backstory, and it does satisfy you. And And it is a pretty good short for what it is, but I still think that when it comes to these kind of shorts with like the intertwining scenes and then going into the main story, I think that Jack Attack still pulls it off the best.
Yeah, but I would say that Doug's mission is special mission is probably a bit more original than say Bernie, because obviously Bernie at the time was kind of still checking in on like what's the movie doing? This is where we're up to. Whereas like we were stuck with the dogs the entire time. So I mean, in regards to originality, squirrel. So in regards to checking in with the movie, it just doesn't, and so basically it continues just going on in its own thing until finally we get to that part of the in Up. So
Go through this mission hundreds of times. I would have liked to have seen Charles Muntz interacting with the dogs, maybe like saying, I'm going to send you over to this special mission, go capture the bird. I mean, I would like to have seen their daily routines of doing this every single time that they have to search for the bird. And
yeah, there's one thing I would like to highlight though, and that is that there is a massive continuity error, and that is they don't really make fun of Alpha's voice box during this as well, and this is actually predates that scene in this movie, so which doesn't make all that much sense really.
It doesn't, because if you remember in the film, when Alpha is talking to Doug saying like, Doug, where are you? Have you found the bird yet? And then Doug is like, Alpha, what happened to your voice? You sound different. He never says that throughout the movie. He's supposed to have a really dark, deep voice because that's when the voice box starts like malfunctioning. Yep, never mentioned in the movie.
Yeah, but no, it's like in the movie, like they start making fun of him. It's like, hey, Alpha, you checked your voice box recently, and he gets really angry about it. But before then, they don't mention that until like a lot later on. So
Exactly.
there's a massive continuity error there.
Yeah, like maybe in one of the instances, like maybe the first one, like when the rock almost falls on them, maybe that's when the voice box starts falling apart because they have to like come down. Maybe
Well, no,
like,
but even before, I'm not sure. Even before then, like his when he was saying that, oh, this is the rock. Even before then, his voice box was still scrambled.
I'm just saying, like, maybe his voice would have sounded like the normal one, like the dark one. And then maybe when, Doug is watching over the rock, maybe like the rock barely hits the collar and maybe it breaks off. Or maybe we could have gotten a mission that happened before the rock.
Yeah.
And maybe we would have seen that the voice box malfunctions.
Maybe.
I think that there should have been an additional scene there, like maybe with Charles Muntz sending the dogs out, and maybe a moment with Charles right before we focus on the dogs. I guess we could have had a little bit more with this short.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that was Doug's special mission, and seems to be a very, very special shot from the start of this. So cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you for the next one.